Right, here we go. I do this every year. I react to my predictions video that I made at the start of the season, and I see how absolutely awful and shoddy and unclairvoyant, if that's a word, at football predictions I truly am. The target I've got to beat this year, again, I'm doing like the system I used last year whereby the number of points I get equates to the number of positions I was away from that particular team's position that I predicted, if that makes sense. So if one team finished in 18th and I predicted them to finish in 19th, I get 1 point. If I predicted to finish in 1st and they finish in 20th, I get 19 points. This season, I've got to beat 68 points. That is my target. That's what I got last year. Let's see if I can do it this year. And if you enjoy this video for some reason or just want to laugh at how little I actually do know about football despite running a football channel, then hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And without further ado, let's get into the absolute carnage that is my predictions for the 2021-2022 season.
For last place, because someone obviously has to finish there, I'm going to go with Watford.
It was kind of obvious that Watford were going to get relegated. Even though they finished in 19th, so I'm 1 place off, I get 1 point for that. They probably were the worst team in the league. I mean, they lost 15 games at home. 15! That's ridiculous. And they finished on, I think it was 23 points. Are they too good for the Championship but not good enough for the Premier League?
They have brought in a few decent players, such as Emmanuel Dennis, Juraj Kucka and Josh King.
Well, Josh King had one good game in the sun against Everton, and Emmanuel Dennis tailed off after Christmas, so those predictions aged very well.
And I said last season when I did my 2020-21 predictions video and predicted them to win the Championship title, that they do have a Premier League quality squad.
Evidently not.
And I don't really trust their owners to keep the faith in manager Zisco, whom the players admire a lot, should they make a bad start or have a bad spell of form.
Well, they didn't even have a bad start. I mean, they got 7 points in 7 games. This obviously isn't title-winning form, but when did Watford's owners think that they were going to win the title? I don't understand their policy. They sacked Zisco, who was so popular with the players and who guided them up from the Championship back to the Premier League after 7 games. And he got 7 points, which, again, isn't great, but it isn't awful either. And after that, they appoint Claudio Ranieri, who doesn't have that magic that he used to, and got sacked after like 16 or 17 games. And then Roy Hodgson, who is approaching 75 or is 75, and has no incentive to manage in the top flight anymore. So of course he was going to send them down. And then, what do you know? He's seen smiling after their relegation is confirmed when they play against Crystal Palace. And you're like, come on.
For 19th place, I've gone with Brighton.
Oh my god, Brighton in 19th. Oh my god, oh no. Can that be the... Oh no, that's not even going to be the worst one. I can almost see that there's like 2 or more teams in here where it's going to be awful. Oh no, Brighton! They came in 9th! That's 10 points!
Graham Potter, despite playing attractive football almost at all times, is a man under pressure, make no mistake about it.
Well, if he was a man under pressure, he didn't exactly show it, did he? I mean, he's absolutely galvanised his Brighton squad. I think maybe my point was like, you know, he's a man under pressure, he's got to invent ideas, he's got to get it right, and if he doesn't get it right, he's out the door and Brighton are down. But he got them right. He got them absolutely bang on right, and Brighton have finished in their highest league position in their entire history. All credit to Graham Potter. What a phenomenal job he's done this season, and he's made me look like a right mug.
If they do fix their goal scoring problems though, then you can expect this prediction to look foolish in 9 months' time.
It does. It does.
The final relegation place, in my opinion, is going to go, sadly, to Norwich.
Right, we're not back on track completely because, of course, Norwich didn't finish in 18th. They finished rock bottom of the league and have basically reasserted their status as the yo-yo club of the Premier League to Championship alongside Watford. They just weren't cut out for the league. Like, the signings they made weren't good enough, as it turned out, and you know, sacking Daniel Farke and replacing him with Dean Smith didn't have the desired effect. They just looked shell-shocked. They just looked really bereft at times. I haven't really seen much from Norwich that's made me think, yeah, okay, they deserve to be here. But it's sad because, you know, they're a likeable club. They just aren't good enough for the Premier League just yet, and how they fix that, I don't know.
Although I do think that they really do have a fighting chance of staying up, despite what some people may have you believe.
16 points away from survival.
And it will be really close between them and survival, perhaps even 1 or 2 points.
Again, may I remind you, 16 points. Next prediction, please.
There is just one promoted side left to mention, that being Brentford, and they come in 17th in my prediction.
I think that was probably the position they would have finished in, like, for most of the season, but then they just had this amazing run of form. I think it was like 5 wins in 6 games, something like that, when Christian Eriksen, their January signing, their marquee January signing, really started to click into gear. They have come in 13th. It's been a phenomenal season for Brentford. This is the worry, though, is that the second season syndrome thing is a curse. We've seen that with Leeds nearly getting relegated. We saw it with Sheffield United in 2020-21, where they finished rock bottom of the league. So they have to be very wary of that second season curse. But if they can get past it, then they may well become top flight mainstays.
The team I've put in 16th are perhaps interchangeable with Brighton in 19th, which does sound a bit weird, but I do have my reasons for this. And the team in question is Burnley.
Why didn't I put them in 19th? If I put them in 19th, I would have had the entire relegation zone correct. Like, yes, I would have had them in the wrong positions, but I would have had all of the relegated teams correct. But no, I had to put them in 16th. I had to put Brighton in 19th for some stupid reason that I can't quite put my finger on. But I am 2 places off with Burnley. They finished in 18th. They are ending their 6th season stay in the Premier League. And for most neutrals, it's goodbye and good riddance to them. That's what you get when you take out the core ethos of the club. Yes, Deitch hadn't exactly had a fantastic season. But what he has a track record of is keeping Burnley in the top flight. Whether they might have run out of steam under Deitch and not survived, I don't know. But at the same time, he had a track record of keeping Burnley in the top flight. And when you take that track record out of the club and the core ethos out of the club as well, a manager who's been there for going on a decade, just 7 games before the end of the season, doesn't really bode well. And look what's happened.
There will be a time when their stay in the Premier League comes to an end, and those flaws I outlined earlier might come back to bite them, but not now.
Take out the not, and the sentence would be correct.
For 15th place, I've gone with Crystal Palace.
Okay, okay, they finished in 12th, but I can understand where I was going with this one. It was a complete revamp of the squad, and obviously, when you have such an immense overhaul of players and indeed staff as well, with Roy Hodgson being replaced by Patrick Vieira, it's quite difficult for everyone to gel straight away. But there was a squad in there. There was a team in there. And I knew that there was no chance that they were going to go down. But they've done really well this season. So Conor Gallagher has really impressed. Eze, when he's played, Elise as well. Zaha's had his best goal-scoring season, I think, in the Premier League. And they've done fantastically well. They've been really impressive to watch. They were really difficult to predict, and this is one prediction, there are some predictions I'd be really angry about, but I'm not angry about putting Crystal Palace in 15th. I actually genuinely understand why I put them in 15th. They just came in 12th and didn't maybe look like an absolute mug as they might have done for some people who might have predicted them to go down, but by the same token, as I say, what a season for them. Can they kick on from here? Let's find out next season.
Although the potential, of course, is much higher if they play their cards right.
Their potential is much higher because they did play their cards right.
One place higher than the Eagles, I think, will be Wolves.
Wolves are an interesting one. This season, they challenged for Europe basically the whole way through, right up until the end when they just hit a really bad spell of form and they've tailed away and finished in 10th. And this prediction now looks ever so slightly better than it did before. It's an improvement from last season. Of course it's an improvement from last season, but I think Wolves fans might be slightly disappointed they didn't finish 8th or 9th, maybe even 7th, because it's not exactly like they had it in their grasp per se, but they certainly stood a fighting chance right up until the end. And is that an opportunity that's been wasted?
But I think it is very likely that their project might just be up in flames for the time being.
It really wasn't.
Southampton fans, your team will finish 13th come the end of the campaign.
Well, they won't finish 13th, they'll finish 15th. But yet again, another really weird season from Southampton where they start off quite well, then tail off, and then have a resurgence in form again, and then lose a game by a really heavy margin, and then sink again. I'm really starting to doubt Ralph Hasenhüttl. How long is he going to get given as the Southampton manager, or how much longer, rather, is he going to get given as the Southampton manager when his teams tail off at the end of the season, results tail off as well, and the team just has a complete lack of confidence in him? at the moment, so it seems.
And they just need perhaps an unspectacular and safe season, far from relegation troubles but never really challenging for anything, just to get their heads back in gear and almost hit the reset button.
I do understand the point that I made about like needing a season to hit the reset button and just like not be challenging for anything but also not be fearful of anything. And I do stand by that point, to be fair, but at the same time, they still they weren't floundering of relegation per se, but there was a risk of it, a small risk of it come the end of the season, especially with their abysmal run of form. But they've survived. They're in the Premier League for an 11th consecutive season now.
In 12th, and this might be quite bold, but I'm putting Newcastle United there.
I was one place off. I was one place off with Newcastle, man. I was one place off. I nearly got it right. I'll tell you what, the first half of the season, this prediction looked awful. Okay, maybe not the first half of the season, but certainly like whilst Bruce was there and Mike Ashley was still the owner of the club. But then, of course, the Saudis came in. They bought £95 million worth of talent, including Trippier, Byrne and Guimaraes, who have made such an immense impact. Trippier more so off the pitch than on it because of his injury. But they have stormed away from relegation fears, and they've come in 11th with their highest points totals since they got promoted back to the Premier League in 2017. And again, what a season for them. Eddie Howe has worked wonders. He has got the troops, he's got his players back into shape, he's got his players revitalised, galvanised, motivated to play for the shirts, the badge and the fans, and indeed the manager as well. And look at the results. Players like Joe Linton has become a star central midfielder. If you told me that at the start of the season, I would have just sent you to a lunatic asylum. But he's revolutionised. How has revolutionised Joe Linton? A player who at the time just seemed unrevolutionisable. What a transformation. And again, what a season for Newcastle.
I said earlier that Palace are the joint most difficult club to predict in the whole league, alongside the team I've put in 11th, and as I reveal that it is West Ham, I'll explain why.
You don't need to explain why, because they come in 7th. What a season they've had. They've reached the European semi-final for the first time in 46 years. Yes, they came unstuck against eventual winners Frankfurt, but what a remarkable job David Moyes has done. And he's moulded together such a fantastic squad. Declan Rice, Jared Bowen, Thomas Souček, like all of these players, maybe a bit less of Souček, but definitely Rice and Bowen. Outstanding seasons from both of them. And they have guided West Ham not quite to the Europa League as they might have hoped, but I don't think they'll be too disheartened at getting a Europa Conference League spot. But they've done really well this season and fully deserve a 7th place spot.
Into the top half we go, and the team who will kickstart it is Leeds United.
No, they won't kickstart the top half. They almost kickstarted the relegation zone. What happened to them? What happened to them? They just ran out of steam. Or they very nearly ran out of steam. They somehow found that last reserve of energy just to drag themselves kicking and screaming over the line, with Rafinha scoring that winning goal against Brentford to keep them in the league. That team of last 2020-21 under Bielsa just went. That high intensity, high pressing, dangerous, scary team to watch, to play against. That just went. That just went.
They must be careful though, obviously, about second season syndrome.
They very nearly succumbed to it. They very nearly succumbed to second season syndrome. I think now that they've just about overcome the second season syndrome curse, I think this is now the time where Leeds will maybe not kick on and consistently challenge for Europe over the next few years, but they will certainly make themselves a Premier League regular now that they've avoided that second season syndrome relegation fear.
But now that Carlo Ancelotti is gone, Everton have lost a bit of their impetus, meaning that they'll be only marginally better than last season.
Marginally better than last season. Marginally better than last season. Infinitely worse than last season. Infinitely worse than last season, that should have been. What happened to them? What happened to Everton? Okay, they lost Ancelotti, I understand that. And they started off the season really well. They got 14 points from 7 games and drew at Old Trafford, just as one notable result. It was a fantastic start to the season. And then everything just derailed. Benitez lost his head, lost the support of the fans, whatever support of the fans he had left, and got sacked really quickly. And then Lampard came in and just about kept their heads above the water. With that squad, with the players that they have, the actual individual players they have, they should not be in 16th. They should not be anywhere close to the relegation zone. That team should have been in 9th. I don't even regret this prediction at all. I do not. Yes, I got 7 places off. Of course, they finished in 16th, but I do not regret this prediction in the slightest. They should be so much higher than where they were, and it's more a mark on Everton's board and squad cohesion being lacking somewhat over the last season or so that this has happened.
Perhaps not spending money could actually prove beneficial for the Toffees.
It didn't.
If they can fix their home form, they could challenge for Europe.
Again, they didn't.
Normally, when a smaller team loses their talisman, I wouldn't say that they would significantly improve on last season, but with Aston Villa, who I've placed in 8th, things are a little bit different.
Things weren't different. They got worse again. That's 3 teams now. It's 7 places off, then 7 places off, and then 6 places off. This does not bode well, and I haven't actually got a single position right, and we've only got 7 positions left to go, so I'm a bit concerned that I haven't got a single one right now, so this is a bit concerning. But Villa just haven't really fully clicked into gear yet. I mean, they lost Dean Smith, obviously they sacked Dean Smith in November and brought in Gerrard, and he's done okay. He hasn't done fantastically. Yes, the signings he's made have been fantastic. Felipe Coutinho, the most noteworthy among them. But next season is the crucial one. He's had his saving grace, and he's had his season where he can acclimatise to the Premier League, he can adjust to managing in the Premier League, he can adjust to Aston Villa and the players he's got at his disposal. But next season is the big one for Gerrard. Is he the real deal, or is he just, is he not?
Grealish's loss will undoubtedly be felt, but not as heavily as it may have been presumed it would have prior to the transfer window, as a result of the signings that they have made.
They didn't finish there, they came in 14th, and Grealish's loss was extremely hardly felt.
The team who will qualify for the UEFA Europa Conference League for 2022-23, in my opinion, are the team who have done so for the 2021-22 campaign, and that is Spurs.
Oh dear. I mean, to be fair, when Nuno Espirito Santo was at the club, this didn't actually seem like too bad a prediction. But they've turned it around spectacularly after they sacked Santo and brought in Antonio Conte, who was their first choice as manager, but obviously turned them down originally before U-turning and signing for them in November, or being appointed in November. And look at what he's done. He's brought Kane back to his best. He's made Son win the Golden Boot. He's brought in the likes of Kulusevski and Bentancur, Kulusevski in particular, having an amazing impact on the team. And they're coming 4th and they qualify for the Champions League for the first time in, I think, 4 seasons. Or 3 seasons, rather, since 2019-20. So, huge step forward for them, and they deserve it.
Nuno Espirito Santo, whilst a decent managerial appointment to replace Jose Mourinho, was their 9th choice.
It showed.
Right now, Spurs are in a state, albeit not a crisis just yet.
They were in a state, admittedly. You know, Kane wanted to leave. There was uncertainty about the fact that Santo was their 9th choice, as I said earlier. If they'd appointed Antonio Conte, I would not have put them in 7th. Not a chance I would have put them in 7th. I don't think I would have put them in 4th. Maybe I would have put them in 5th. I don't know, but I definitely wouldn't have put them in 7th, and this prediction definitely would not have looked as terrible as it does right now.
Now that I predicted Leicester to come in 6th, they'll finish in 9th and make me look foolish.
They very nearly finished in 9th. They were only 1 point away from finishing in 9th, but they came in 8th. And it was a very up and down season for the Foxes. They suffered from a defensive crisis, and the likes of Fofana being out for ages, Soyuncu suffering a bad run of form, and they've just about clawed it together to finish in 8th. They are still in and around those European spots, and I don't think Leicester fans will be too disheartened about that. Have they blown their chance, though? Did they blow their 2 best chances to qualify for the Champions League again in 2019-20 and then in 2020-21? Looks like it right now.
For 5th place, I'm wondering whether this might be a stupid idea, but like last year, I'm going with Arsenal.
Okay, I've got one right. That's fine. I've got one right. I have one right. You know what? I don't even know if I'm happy about the fact I've got one right. I'm just relieved. Obviously, it's almost impossible to predict the Premier League table. It's impossible to do that. I'm obviously understanding. That's the whole point of it. It's just a bit of fun that I do every year. But I'd like to get at least one position right every year, and this is that position. But the fact that I'm right in this prediction is actually quite sad, because they had 4th place. They had it literally ironclad in their grasp They had 3 games in hand on Spurs and Man United, and if they won all 3 of them, they would have been so far clear of them by the time the run-in came that it wouldn't even matter what the result of the North London derby was, although they lost to Newcastle, because they would have qualified for the Champions League by that point already. And then they lose all 3 of those games in hand, and then they lose against Spurs in the North London derby, when in a game that if they won, they would have qualified for the Champions League, and then completely bottled it against Newcastle. And by the time they thrashed Everton 5-1 on the final day, it was too late, and Spurs had qualified for the Champions League, and Arsenal back in the Europa League.
But I think this campaign will go one of 2 ways. Either they start slowly and Arteta gets sacked before they bring in a top-class manager to galvanise the squad and bring them up to 5th, or Arteta gets his ideas in gear and really puts them in motion to help challenge for the Champions League once again.
It was kind of a mixture of both. They started off extremely slow, they lost their first 3 games of the season, and then Arteta got his ideas in motion and that they were qualified for the Champions League. And then they didn't.
In 4th place, and this might be quite a shock, but I'm going with the reigning champions, Manchester City.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Right, I put them in 4th. They were 22 points away from 4th, and they've won the league again. What an awful, awful prediction. And I've just realised as well, I haven't even mentioned Man United yet. That does not bode well. I put Man City below Man United. I actually put Man City below Man United. I am a fraud. There's no 2 ways about it. I am a fraud.
And I think this season will go one of 2 ways for Man City. Either they prove me spectacularly wrong, or they continue their inconsistencies that have blighted them for the last 2 seasons and stumble. And I think it will be the latter.
It was the former.
But in 3rd, I'm going with Liverpool.
I mean, I'm only 1 place off with Liverpool, to be fair, because they came in 2nd, but I'm also 18 points away from that being right. So it's, again, a very hollow 1 point. They pushed Man City all the way, and if they hadn't blinked his first against Spurs, no doubt about it, they would have won the league. They came so close, but their bid for the unprecedented quadruple is off. They will be back next season, and they may well do it. But for the time being, that quadruple still remains elusive.
And Ibrahima Konate, or Joe Gomez, because of course he's returned from injury as well, will be a strong partner for him.
I somehow forgot Joel Matip existed.
But they will come closer to winning the league this time around than they did last season.
Yeah, they were 1 point off winning the league this season. They were 17 points off from winning the league in 2020-21. So I was right on that front. But yeah, I put Man United above Liverpool. I put Man United above Man City. Please don't tell me I put them in 1st.
The team in question will end up in the same place as they did last year, and that team, of course, is Manchester United.
Okay, well, at least I didn't put them in 1st. I didn't put them in 1st, but what happened? Everything just went wrong. Everything just went wrong. Insipid displays left, right and centre, conceding 4 goals almost on a monthly basis. Harry Maguire having a season from hell. Jesse Lingard basically being the grass in the changing room. People like Pogba, I know he's made his escape quite a lot, but not really shining. Same with Fernandes as well. Sancho not having the desired impact. Van der Beek being anonymous again, and they don't know how to use him. David De Gea basically being relied upon to return to his 2017-18 vintage best in order to keep Man United in 6th, never mind in 2nd. And you can tell that this is a club that is rotten to the core and has so many issues with it. Solskjaer was a dead man walking from about September, October time, and Ralph Rangnick has done absolutely nothing to convince me or anyone else or even United fans that he was the right man for the job. They've ended up in 6th, 35 points behind Man City in 1st, and they're going to play in the Europa League next season. Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be playing in the Europa League next season, and that sounds wrong on so many levels, but it sums up what an absolute state of a club Manchester United are right now.
They won't finish below 80 points.
They finished 22 points below 80 points. Oh dear. I'm certain I've done worse than 68. I'm certain I've done. If I haven't done worse than 68, then I don't quite know how that's even possible.
As you might be able to tell, I think that the Champions League winners of last season, Chelsea, will go on to win the Premier League this time around.
They didn't. They finished 3rd. In fact, the last 2 teams I predicted to win the league, both came in third. I predicted Liverpool to win the league in 2020-21, they came in third. And now Chelsea, I predicted to win the league in 2021-22, and they came in third. They've had, well, Lukaku in their squad, which I thought would have won them the league. 7 or 8 goals in the league this season is shocking for £98 million. And he clearly wants to be back into Milan. He clearly doesn't want to be at Chelsea. And it showed. They started off the season brilliantly, and then that loss to Man City, that loss at Stamford Bridge, just knocked the wind out of their sails, and they've ended up in third, some 19 points behind the team that beat them to, as it turned out, basically end their title challenge. Right, so I've just done the maths, and my target was 68, to beat was 68. I got 68 this season. So I haven't even got worse, or I haven't even improved. So this entire video has been a complete waste of yours and my time. I apologise.
Now we move on to the second segment of this video, which is 3 bold predictions for the upcoming season.
Oh god, this can only go well.
Both the title race and the relegation fights will go to the final day.
Okay, actually, alright, that's lifted my mood somewhat. No, this hasn't been a waste of your time. This is actually a good prediction. Like, yes, the relegation fight, not every single relegation spot went to the final day of the season, but one relegation spot did, and of course the title went to the final day as well. Yes, I got the teams wrong, but the title race and the final relegation spot did go to the final day, so yeah, that's probably the best call in this video.
The PFA Player of the Year will not go to a top 4 teams player.
Well, I don't actually know if this prediction is right or not, because the PFA Player of the Year hasn't been announced yet as I'm recording this video, but if we're going by the Premier League Player of the Year, I was wrong, because Kevin De Bruyne has won it. And call me controversial, call me biased, he deserved it. When you need players to step up at the back end of a season in a title race, you need big players. Players who are unfazed by the situation, players who will step up and improve their performances. That's exactly what Kevin De Bruyne did.
Man City will not win a trophy this season.
This one was 15 minutes away from being right. What a comeback. What a comeback to snatch the league right away from Liverpool. And as I say, I was very close to this prediction being right, but thankfully and quite stunningly, I'm not.
We'll start off with the Championship, and I'm going to go with Fulham.
Well, there's one right. There is absolutely another prediction right, and predicting the winners of the Championship is pretty difficult in most years, but I don't think it was that difficult this year. Fulham are a cut above, and the likes of Fabio Carvalho and most notably of all Alexander Mitrovic breaking the Championship and even second tier goal scoring record, a post-war goal scoring record with 43 goals. Wow, what a season.
Fulham will be the team on top when the music stops and the final whistle blows, but perhaps by fewer than 3 points.
I was right. They won the league by 2 points ahead of Bournemouth. What a call. I have to say, what a call.
Now for Ligue 1, and it's the most obvious pick here, because there's surely no way that PSG will not win Ligue 1 this season.
Yeah, there is no way that PSG will not win Ligue 1. Like, I know I said this last year and they didn't, but this year with the additions they made and the fall-off that Lille had and, well, the squad that PSG had more broadly, there's just no way that they can't win Ligue 1. And they steamrolled it, as I'm certain everyone and their dog expected them to do.
And now to the Bundesliga. I don't really think there's much in the way of stopping Bayern from becoming the first team in Europe's top 5 leagues to ever win 10 league titles in a row.
Again, I was right, but it's not exactly like a source of pride of getting this one right, because it's obvious that Bayern Munich were going to win the Bundesliga, just as it was obvious that PSG were going to win the Ligue 1. I'm certain 99.99999% of people also did the same, so I'm not exactly overjoyed, but at least I didn't get them spectacularly wrong.
Now I'm going to move on to Serie A. I think Juventus will just about come out on top once again.
Nope, they came in 4th, and AC Milan have won their first Serie A title in 11 years, despite losing Gianluigi Donnarumma. I bet you he's kicking himself.
Hopping over to Spain, and I'm going to go with Atletico Madrid to win La Liga again.
Why didn't you pick the other Madrid team? Like, I picked Real Madrid in 2020-21, and then I picked Atletico for 2021-22, because I thought Real weren't up to it. They were. And certainly Karim Benzema was up for it. And they won the league by, I think it was like maybe 10, 13 points ahead of Barcelona. What a season for them. And they could yet add the Champions League to their collection this season as well. If Karim Benzema does not win the Ballon d'Or, then I don't know who can win the Ballon d'Or ahead of him, quite frankly.
Finally, for the Champions League, I know it's basic, but come on. If PSG can't win it without Messi, Neymar and Mbappe at their disposal, then they probably never will.
And they didn't win it with Messi, Neymar and Mbappe at their disposal. I mean, again, this is like last season. I predicted Bayern to win the Champions League, but even though the Champions League final hasn't taken place at the time of this recording, I already know that this prediction is completely wrong because it's between Real Madrid and Liverpool to win the Champions League, and PSG are absolutely nowhere to be seen. I think I just got too swept up in the hype. And I don't think you can blame me for that, but I got way too swept up in the hype and just automatically assumed that they would win absolutely everything in sight. And they've only got the league title to show for it. They didn't even win the French Cup. And so that's it. Another season of me looking like an idiot. Nothing much changes there. There you go. If you somehow found enjoyment out of me looking like an absolute clown and having no knowledge of football whatsoever, then like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And ring the notification bell if you haven't done so already either, so you never miss a video whenever I post it. Thanks for watching this absolute mess of a video. Well, fingers crossed I do better next season, but I just wrap up the video now. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you then. Sake!